Hello everyone and welcome to another video. Today we have day 2 of learning animation until I can animate Gojo Vs Sukuna. First thing that came to my mind for animation was that how to make a smooth move, because that was my problem, and if you have seen the last video, that was my main problem, that my animations were chopped. So I wanted to try making a smooth move, and in order to make a smooth move I was thinking to make a ball starting from one point and going to the other point in a smooth movement, or a rectangle being filled like a battery charge, something like this. So that's what I started with. I did some research that I'm going to explain to you as you see the animation. So we have these keyframes that are essential. For example, our first frame and our last frame, and maybe the frame between them. These frames are essential because if we cut out even one of them, the position or the animation wouldn't be smooth and wouldn't make sense. For example, someone wants to get up from the ground. If we don't show the pose where they are holding their hand on the ground to push themselves up, that doesn't make sense because they randomly jump upwards. It doesn't show the move when they get up. So that's important. And there are extremes, which are the frames between keyframes, and breakdowns, which are between extremes, and in-betweens, which are between breakdowns, and simplify everything. And we have two types of animating: straight ahead and pose to pose. Pose to pose is how I'm doing it in this one. We draw the first frame first and then the last frame, and then we draw the frames between them. But in a straight ahead, we draw each frame one by one. Pose to pose is better for a move, an action that you know how it's going to end up, a specified position. But straight ahead is better for positions that are random. For example, fire flames. You don't have a specified position for what the fire flame is going to end up like. They are random, so it is better to go straight ahead for them. But for example, this animation that I'm doing, you know where the ball is going to end up at, so it is a specified position. So it is better to go pose to pose. We draw the first and the last frame, and then we go and draw between them. And for each one, we go draw between them again. Yeah, between the middle and the start, between the middle and the last frame. And then the smoother you want your animation to be, well, of course you have to add more frames, because in real life there are no frames, and every time you move your hand on an object, the object moves for each millimeter. So the more you add it, the more realistic and animation like it is. And I also learned something named frame counting that I will show you when this comes to an end. But as you see now, I have made this animation and it's pretty smooth. I like it. Guys, I have improved a lot more since the last video. You can see that. I want to see how much I have improved, but I'm very happy with myself in this video. But the balls look a little empty, so I wanted to color them. And jokes on me, I said I have improved since last video, but I'm still playing with balls. So jokes on me. So animation settings for this one is 10 frames per second. So as you see, I made 10 frames. Although I think it's 9, but that doesn't matter. I just want to explain it in general. So we have 10 frames and I have made 10 frames. And for each one, the time and frames are divided equally from 0 to 5 and 5 to 10. Each frame takes equal parts. No frame takes longer than the last one, and no frame takes less than the last one. It is equal. But then if I delete some of the extremes, they won't be equal anymore. But when we divide our measurements again, that middle frame takes longer than the rest of them. As you can see on what I'm drawing, but since there are more frames from the beginning to the start, it takes longer in the middle part, but it looks faster. Because the more frames you add, the slower and smoother the animation is going to be, because it's going to show each frame. So the start of it will be slow, but then the transition from a start to the middle will be fast, and the middle to the end will be fast again, but the end is also slow. This is called frame counting because, for example, when we throw something, for example, we throw a ball to the ground. When it's first going, it will go with so much force and hit the ground hard. But when it's coming upwards again and going down again, the second time it's going down, it won't be as fast as the first one. So when we put our animation setting on 10, for example, the first going down form of the ball will be 10 and will be fast, but the second one won't be as fast as the first one. So the animation settings, even though it's 10 for all of them, has to be slower for the second one. So for this reason, we have to use our frames to make the second fall look slower. But it honestly turned out so good. I like it. I'm pleased with myself. Okay. Well, for the next one, I wanted to do the same thing to make a smooth motion, but I wanted to make it in a circular way. So I am still playing with balls, but I'm getting professional in playing with them. So again, I started by drawing the first and the last frame, but in this animation, the first and the last frame are the same thing. So I chose the middle frame as my last frame and drew that one first. The first ball is on the lower side of the circle and the last frame is on the upper side of the circle. Then I draw in middle of each one and then in middle of those ones. Keyframes, extremes, breakdowns, and in-betweens. I also set the animation settings based on the number of frames I have here. In this video, most of the animations are at 10 frames per second, but this one had more frames, so I put it on 25 per second. Actually, it turned out good. I like it. I have another idea with this one. I want to like switch the colors, but I want to practice with just stick figures and black and white for now. I don't want to go to colors yet, but keep this one in mind. We will come back to this one. When I said I put the animation settings for most of these animations on 10, in the last video I said the more frames the faster it is and put all of my animations on 30 frames per second. That was wrong, guys, as most of you know, but I'm a little dumb, so take no grudges. But I found out that actually you should set your frame settings based on the number of your frames you're drawing. If you draw, for example, 5 frames but then put it on 30 per second, that doesn't make sense. Obviously, number of the frames and the settings should match each other. So for this one, I wanted to make that smooth movement that I told you, like a battery charge. I wanted to fill up this rectangle and make it look like it's being charged. In this one, I also use that technique that I told you in the frame counting. Because if I wanted to add a frame for each millimeter of the shape, that will take forever. That will literally take forever. So I use this easier method to just make the first few frames smoother, but then make a distance in the middle and do the same again to the end of it. Then I had this idea of adding battery percentage to actually make it look like a battery charge, but so as you see at the beginning, I started by drawing the zero with tools, making it look pretty, but at the end, no, I just drew something. I didn't even care if it looked good or not. But honestly, I wasn't pleased with them because they looked horrible, obviously. And went back to the original shape without the numbers. I didn't draw the numbers on a different layer, so it was hard to erase them a little. But at the end, I like this one. It actually makes a smooth move. But what I have actually learned about animation is that animation isn't drawing each frame by frame. That's what I thought before I started learning it. I thought that you have to draw each one of them, but animation is about movements and space. You don't have to draw each one to make a movement. You just have to connect the frames to each other. Because I thought that if I don't draw them each by each, it's not going to look normal and people are going to realize it. But then I realized in my daily life, how many animations I see on TikTok, YouTube, or any other app, and I never noticed the sharpness in the animations. And now that I have started learning, now I can only see it that okay, in this frame it suddenly made a jump. But other than that, no one notices because that's how animations are. They're not supposed to be very realistic. They're supposed to be animations. So what's really important in animation is to make a good connection between the frames, to make them look natural. So for example, what I did with this rectangle or the first video of that ball that was moving, I made a good connection between the middle frame and the first frame and the last frames. Even though they had distance between them, but the brain is being tricked. I honestly couldn't believe it, how my brain can't see this, how I can't see the distance between them, and my brain just naturally processes it as an actual movement. So don't worry about how your animation is going to look like. Your brain tricks itself. What you see now is you being too sensitive on it. Other people won't realize it. Even if they pay so much attention, maybe just then they would realize it. So what I'm doing here, I wanted to make the movement smoother because in this day 2 video, my original goal was to make a completely smooth movement. But as I said, if I want to do that, I have to draw each frame by each frame. And that takes so long, and as you can see, I am actually doing it. So guys, I was too lazy to do this with all of it. I just do it for maybe 1/4 of the rectangle, but that's enough to see the smoothness. Um, Actually, it looks good, it looks smooth, but one thing I had to change was the animation settings, because the original rectangle had 10 frames and I set the animation settings at 10 frames per second. Now I had added more frames. So I counted them and they were like 22 frames. So I changed the animation settings and saved the video. And you can see in the beginning of it that it actually looks smooth and it looks like those computer green lines when it's downloading something and then it turns up at a 99%. Alright guys, well, my original plan was to show much more of my progress because I did a lot of animations this week. That's why this video is coming out a little too late. I was busy doing these animations. But since this video is getting a little too long, this will be our last animation and last video. You can see the rest of them in day 3. So follow up to see that one too. In this one, this is something that I saw everyone do as their first animation, as a practice. It's like this, goes around and comes back. Yeah. What's the name? Newton's what? Wait a second. So I searched it up and it seems like they call it Newton's cradle. But this is not Newton's cradle because that has 4 balls. Here just 1 ball, but it works pretty much the same. We start here, it goes that way, and it comes back. That's just what happened. So again, I'm using the post-to-post method, but I keep forgetting that I have to draw the first and the last frame. So I draw the first, the middle frame, and then the last frame. Then I add the frames between them. I copy the ball and then paste it because why would I draw it again? And fortunately, I'm not delusional to thinking I have to use lasso tool for everything. So thanks God. What I'm doing here, why am I adding more frames through the last part? Because I wanted to make this movement. You have seen that, like, when you throw the ball upwards, it takes a few seconds in the sky and then comes back. I wanted to make it look like this. So I added more frames at the end to make it slower and make it look like it's hanging there and then suddenly comes back, something like this. But good news guys, in this animation I finally learned how to make the shadows of all the frames visible. In the previous ones, if you had seen, I could only see the first and the last frame. I also addressed that problem in my last video. But I learned the settings. You just have to turn the onion skins from 1 to 5 and then it shows you all of them. Thanks God. It's much easier to work now. Thanks God, really thanks God. You know, one important thing about drawing, animations, or anything else, of course, practice and talent are important. Of course, there is no such thing as talent. As you can see, I have no talent in animation. But one important thing is to be familiar with the tools. They definitely make your life easier. So what I usually do is that when I go to a new app, I just totally go through everything, and even then I don't find all the tools. So make sure to always search up on TikTok, social media, anywhere to see tips on how people do it and what tools they use. So here, as you can see, I have kind of managed the position I wanted, to make the ball start fast and then hang it for a few seconds in the sky and then come back. Now I wanted to draw the line thing because, of course, the ball isn't floating through the air. One question that I had was that, well, the balls are close to each other, they're next to each other, so obviously they could trick the brain because the brain could like feel them as a movement. But the lines are too separated. They're not even close to each other. So wouldn't that make my animation look chopped and fake? But the answer is no, guys. Your brains are even dumber than you think. They will get tricked no matter what you do. So just make your animation and trust in your brain to be fooled. And as you can see, I forgot to add this upper part for each one. So the animation actually looks so good so far, but I wanted to add a little thing to it to be different and all. I wanted to like make it look like a hand is letting go of it because it's more natural. Why would a ball just randomly start moving by itself? There are no ghosts in my animation. So I started drawing the thumb and what was that? So I started drawing a thumb and the index finger, make it look like they're holding the ball and then let it go of it. That's what I did. Although, guys, I have to say again, in these animations, I'm not really putting much effort into details yet, so excuse my thumb. Yeah, I didn't try it really good. I say that as if when I'm focusing, I could draw it good. So I had a little crisis with drawing the fingers, so I just make it faster so we can just move on. For the next frames, for each one, I made the finger come off a bit, and Lasso tool wasn't working, so I had to draw each one myself. Slowly and slowly, the finger came off, both of them, the fingers. They came off and let the ball go. And one important thing was that the moment they came off, the ball should have started moving, but I forgot about that, but I will fix it later. And when the fingers let go of it, they also slowly start to pull back until they are out of the picture completely and the ball is still moving. So yeah, the animation looks very good, but as I said, there's this problem that the moment the hand lets go, the ball should start moving, and I fixed that, don't worry. But I wanted to make the animation longer. This is my best animation so far. Although not so far, you will see the animations in day 3, they will get much better. I have actually improved and I'm happy about it. So I wanted to make the ball come back as well, you know. It's a cradle, it should come back. So what I did, I just copy pasted everything. You know, for example, the extreme between the middle and the last keyframe, I just copied it again and added it again. But on the other side, as you see, I'm duplicating them and then taking them in front of the other frames. This way, the ball doesn't change and it doesn't look like it's changing. It stays the same. But when I'm duplicating the frames that had the fingers in them, I had to erase the fingers and draw that line of the ball again and complete it. I wanted to let this one hang a little upwards as well, so I again added frames to this side as well. I changed my mind mid animation. But I'm actually pleased with the results. They actually look good. I like them. I really like them. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I now show you the results with no editing process, so you can see it up close. And there it is. Although a little to the end when it's coming back and upward, the ball changes a little, but doesn't matter, you know. All that matters is improvement. So these are this episode's animations, and I'm actually very impressed with them. I'm impressed with myself. I'm proud. But follow up to see more progress on the next episode. I think, guys, I believe we are getting close to animating Sukuna versus Gojo. Or maybe I'm just dumb and very optimistic. But either way, don't forget to like and subscribe. Bye!